Hello, everyone. Happy Monday, the 17th of August. Olin Jennings here, your spiritual guide and divorce empowerment coach, coming in with the cosmic energies for this week from today till Sunday, the 23rd of August. So, how are you? Did you manage to see the solar eclipse last week? How do you feel? Let me know in the comments. We were lucky enough to have Eclipse glasses, so it was really lovely to be able to witness the solar eclipse. Yeah, very, very special. So this week, what can I say about this week? Well, first of all, I often share with you what's going on for me, not because it's all about me, but because it might be these things might be showing up for you too, right? So, feeling quite weird at the moment, if I'm honest. A bit like I'm in transition, or on the threshold of something. I'm not quite sure what that threshold of something is, though. Having lots of weird dreams still. I normally remember my dreams quite well, but they were so crazy last night and kind of mixed up that I really haven't got a clue today. But I know that this is my subconscious's way of trying to make sense of what I'm processing, what I'm trying to sort out in my life. So, the fact maybe I don't want to remember them today. So we've just had the solar eclipse and the new moon, and then I think it's the 27th or the 28th we've got a full moon eclipse. So we're in this kind of 2-week eclipse corridor, and full moons are all about letting go, as you know. And I know this particular full moon is clashing. I think, let's have a look. I just want a quick look to get this right because it feels important. This is Moonology, yes, I'm in Poland. I mean, it's not till, in the UK, yeah, it's not till the early hours of the 28th. So we're way off it, yeah, 11 days. It's clashing with Planet of Craziness, Uranus. So it's like cosmic fireworks, apparently, bringing a mix of unpredictability and corner turning. Uranus is known for shaking things up. So, and that's how I feel. I feel like things are being shaken up. And I've told you already about eclipses that they, if there are things in your life that no longer belong to you or are no longer in alignment with you, then eclipses have this way of like banging you over the head so that you can see it clearly as to what you need to do about it, or they do the work for you, which can mean that sometimes things end in your life or change in your life quite dramatically, if you haven't kind of sorted it out already. So this week, the universe or this eclipse corridor is asking you to look to the future as much as you can. What is standing in your way of creating that future? So it's that sort of thing that's going to come up this week, I think, for a lot of us. What have you been avoiding? Is there a conversation you've been avoiding? For example, what needs to be faced? Again, it could be a conversation. It might not be a conversation. It could just be something that you know you want to change or need to change in your life. Also, what needs to be organized. We go into Virgo season on Sunday, I believe, and Virgos like things to be organized. So that's part of the reason for that. It's also asking you to look at what really brings you joy, what really brings you peace. And that's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because that's really what we should all be aiming for. What brings us joy, what brings us peace, because life is quite short, isn't it? The human existence. So, why are we not looking for that? Why are we not in that? Maybe some of you are, and I hope you are. But quite often we hold ourselves back from that, thinking we're not worthy of it, or thinking that, oh, well, I'll wait till I've done this before I look for the joy or I look for what brings me peace. So these are the kinds of questions to be asking yourself. I'm really noticing, not just for me, for my clients as well, this real clash between mind and heart. So your mind and your logic and your ego are saying one thing, probably to try and keep you safe, and your heart may be saying, not really. Don't really think that's true, or I don't really think that's how you feel, you truly feel. But of course, our minds can play tricks and try to get us to believe anything. But in those situations, you'll probably find, if that's what you're doing, you'll find, especially this week, I should imagine, you'll find that in the moments when you're quiet, probably just as you're going to sleep, or even in your dreams, or as you're waking up, in those sort of quiet moments, you'll probably find that your heart's desires and your heart's search for peace and joy coming up. I'm reminding you that perhaps you're not quite there. It feels intense collectively, not just personally. There's a lot going on, isn't there? So, I pulled a couple of cards from my deck, the Empowered Woman Rises deck, just to help us. And I got vulnerability as the first card. So what does vulnerability mean to you? So in this particular card, when I channeled the message for it, it was, your heart has been upset or broken, you're feeling vulnerable right now, and you might want to close your heart down because of that, because that's what we do when we're hurt, or when we're hurt, we don't want to be hurt again, so we close our hearts down. But actually, this card is asking you to keep your heart open and to be vulnerable and to sit with that vulnerability. And I'm also sensing for a lot of us, or a lot of you, it's not necessarily that you've necessarily been hurt. It's just that your heart isn't fulfilled. And this energy, the energies of the moment, are not letting you avoid that. So it may well be that you're feeling vulnerable anyway, because you want to change things, but at the same time it's scary. But it's asking you to sit with that and to realize that it's actually part of your power to be vulnerable. It's a softer kind of divine feminine feeling. I know that we often get so busy with our lives that we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and share our feelings. But this week, you might find that you're emotional. I'm getting the word you might be cracked open. That sounds awful, but I don't think it means anything, physical. I think it just means your heart might be cracked open, like you may be forced to confront certain things in your life that aren't quite right. Nobody really wants to do that. It's hard work, but that's that, and then that could be anything. That could be in your work, your business, your personal life, in your relationships, not just with your other halves. It could be anything. So yeah, so if you're feeling like that, don't worry, this too shall pass, but don't ignore it either. Don't avoid it. And then the next card is trust your intuition. Of course, this is what we need to do. You know this, your intuition is your inner GPS system. It's what tells us the truth. It's really where we should be living from, going by our intuition and our gut feelings. So I feel that there's going to be situations this week where you might not know what to do. And then what this card and the energy is asking you is to invite you into your intuition. How does it feel? What do you really want? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel contracted? Remember that I've shared this before when I do this in embodied intuition. It's, where does it, what does it feel like in your body? So like if you ask yourself a question and you imagine yourself saying yes, maybe have your hand on your stomach and your hand on your heart and just feel into your body when you're asking the question. And if the answer is yes, does that feel good or not? If the answer is no, how does that feel? And just notice the difference. Practice small so that you get used to knowing how it feels. Trusting your intuition is not always the easiest thing to do, because sometimes it's a decision you make which seems to go against logic or might cause upset somewhere else, but it's your truth, and it may make you feel vulnerable as well. So that's kind of where we are this week. As I say, Virgo season's coming in on Sunday. Virgo is about getting your ducks in a row, getting organized. I'm a Virgo, I'm not always organized, but that's what it's asking of us. So bear that in mind. And yeah, just see how you go. Look after yourself if you're tired, if there's, I think a lot of us are tired. We've been through a lot this year energetically, and and so on. So look after yourself is key. If you're feeling vulnerable, that's okay. You might want to journal your feelings. Trust your intuition more. Know that the eclipse window, if you like, or corridor, whatever you want to call it, is it's actually supporting us. It's just that if for me right now, and maybe for some of you, it feels quite like it's shaking us up. Yeah, that's how it feels. It feels shaky. That's a professional term. If you're stuck, if you need a bit of clarity, you know where I am. I do readings. I work with you with my guides or the Akasha Records or the Galactic Code. If you're going through a relationship breakup and you need some emotional support or some legal support or both, then again, you know where I am. All right, so take very good care of yourselves and follow your heart, for your intuition this week, as always. And I will be back next week. Bye for now.